And I know we're talking real estate, but when it comes to real estate, it's the same thing. Nobody gives a shit how many doors you own or what you do or, whatever acronym you want to call it this day. What the biggest challenge that real estate investors have is they identify themselves with what they do. They don't understand that they are running a business. So when I talk to people, I'm like, what do you do? Like, I'm a flipper. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? That's like saying I'm a rake. That's just a tool to get you something. Like, that's just, to me, that's stupid. It's like, no, you own a business.
On the show today, guys, we have Steve Rozenberg out of Houston, Texas, who is, I want to say, like, maybe the most savage person we've had on the show,
For sure,
just in
savage.
terms of connections, like what you've done, everything you have going on. I mean, you've been on like Ed Milet and like all these sort of big shows, big personalities. Jordan Belfort, you've met the Wolf of Wall Street, which even though
jealous.
he has a dark past, is kind of like the sales guy icon.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for coming on the show, man. It's super cool to meet you, and I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I love about what you've done is you have crossed, I say you conquered the challenge that most real estate investors have, us included, on turning it into a business that is marketable and like focusing more on actually making it like a true tangible business that you're not, having to beat your head against the wall. You're not cash poor, you're optimizing it. Whereas I feel like so many real estate investors, they get into this cycle of, they don't actually have money. They own a lot of assets. They have great net worth. I mean, we had a guy a little while ago that had $70 million worth of real estate, but had literally zero cash.
He's broke.
Right. And
he's at
like
McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's getting the Happy Meal at McDonald's because he's got no cash.
Yeah, and that's not why we all get
exactly.
real estate. We want money when we get real estate. Well, cash flow.
Yeah. So I'd love to dive into your background and kind of, your backstory and how you got into real estate in that fashion. Cause I feel like that's really, really unique. And your backstory is just fascinating as well.
Yeah. So, my backstory, as people that maybe follow me know, I actually never wanted to be in real estate or be a speaker or any of this shit that I do. I just wanted to be an airline pilot as a little kid. That's all I ever wanted to do. I got hired. I was the second youngest person hired at a particular airline.
Wow.
I was going to retire number 2 in seniority. I mean, I was 25 years old and newly married, and I had the job of a lifetime. I had the dream job. I was flying all over the world, safe, secure company. Everything's good. And then 9/11 happened, and 9/11 was a big wake up call for me and for many people in this industry, because 2 days after the towers fell, I got a furlough notice and basically was told, hey, Steve, you know what? That safe and that secure job that you thought you had, it was never safe and it was never secure. And now you're going to be on the street with 50,000 other pilots. So good luck.
Yeah.
So to say getting punched in the face after 9/11 and understanding that everything that I had done in my life until that point was basically useless. And now I wasn't even qualified to drive a truck, and you got to go home and tell your wife, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, I can't do anything. I know how to fly a plane, and I don't know how long this is going to last. So, I started focusing on what do people do that are wealthy? Like what I had no clue, because I was in this bubble of being a pilot. And, I saw that a lot of people were tied to real estate at somehow. Not like today, how you can hop on social media. I had to go to that big building called the library. Had to get a library card, had to go and check out books. And I read a book a week, and every single week I read a book on real estate, just trying to understand all about it. The first venture I did was into, wholesaling. I was doing option contracts. I didn't really have money to buy a property. I didn't know anything. Creative financing was still a kind of an odd word that no one knew about. I paid a mentor, paid him 10 grand. And he said, look, if you do what I say, this will work. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? He's like, you'd be surprised. I'm like, that sounds weird. Like, cause I'm coming from an industry of professionals, and you do what you say and all this other bullshit. So he explains to me what a double close is. I have no idea what it was. No clue. But next I did exactly what he said. 30 days later, no shit. 30 days later, I am at a title company doing a double close on a property that I did. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have the phone in my hand. So when they have a question, I just hand the guy the phone. He's talking to the title company. They're doing all this shit. Next thing you know, I walk out of there with a check for 20 grand. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
I can't fucking believe that just happened. Like, I'm like, I still I could not even explain what I just did. And so I call the guy up and I'm like, dude, I can't believe that worked. He's like, it works. I'm like, well, yeah, no shit. I'm like, can I do that again? He's like, dude, you can do it as many times as you want. I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, you must make people very, very rich. He goes, you'd be surprised. Majority of people will never do what you just did. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but I just gave you $10,000. He's like, I know. He goes, I'm just telling you, people will not do it. So I just kept doing it over and over again. And I got better. Mm-hmm. And I learned that the key, well, not only to that, but really in anything in life is to be a communicator. And I got really focused on learning how to negotiate and how to communicate. And I just kept focusing on that. And I crafted the skills to being a negotiator. Mm-hmm. And I just got really good. And I basically turned it into a business. I ended up getting the job back at the airlines because when you're furloughed, you go back. So I was still flying. Made enough money wholesaling, doing options that I bought an apartment complex with a business partner. Took that apartment complex. Then we bought houses after we sold that. And this is where mistakes happen. I'm very, very transparent about my mistakes because I make a shitload of them. But we started buying low income properties because financially they look good on paper, but the reality was they weren't. Yep. So after about 40 or so of these shitholes, we started realizing why people don't have them because people start calling because they can't pay rent. They got all these problems. Houses are falling apart. You name it. You guys all know the story. And we almost went bankrupt. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how could this be? Like, we're smart guys. We had the wrong business model wrapped around those properties. And that's when I started realizing that real estate is a business. It's not a hobby. It's not a gut feeling. It's not an emotion. It's a business. Mm-hmm. So because our properties were so crappy, no management company wanted them. So we had to start our own management company to manage our own properties and an apartment complex we owned. And we hired a coach. We hired a business coach. And basically the business coach is like, there's a market, there's opportunity, and you can definitely scale this to millions of dollars. You two are not the smartest people on the planet and you will be bankrupt in 6 months because you don't know how to run a business. Mm-hmm. So we hire this guy, and for 7 years, we stay with this business coach every single week. And we learned how to run a business. And what we ended up doing was we took that company, we scaled it to over 1,000 properties. Wow. We marketed it. We operated out of 3 major metropolitan cities. 60% of our company was operated with virtual assistants in Mexico. We got so good that we actually built our own company in Mexico for virtual assistant placements. And then we ended up exiting and selling our company for well into 7 figures to a venture capital firm where I became a vice president for them. And then I started doing stuff on their behalf with Bigger Pockets and all the other stuff. And then I kind of, I got out of that. I kind of did my time with the VC firm, and I decided I would start helping people. And so the way that we were able to scale that business was we took my knowledge of being an airline pilot, processes, procedures, checklists, and we injected that into our business. And when you look at an airline and you look at how airlines run, there's no better business when it comes to scaling and systemization. And what I learned is that, you know, the challenge with wholesaling and flipping and all the other stuff is it's a job. It's not a business. Mm-hmm. And if you can't walk away for 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, it's a job. And it's probably a pretty low paying job when you factor in all the time. So my job, what I do is I show people how to systematize their companies. Everything can be systematized. I mean, I hate to say it. No one is that special. No one is that smart. You learn that you are not the most important person. And so that's kind of what I show people is how to, I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but that's what I do now is I show people that you can make a business run without you if you have the right tools and people in your life to make that happen. And so all of my knowledge, all of my experience, I still own real estate. You know, we have some mutual friends in the Pacific Northwest and you know, I know all the Brandons and all the people, but I come from a different breed in the sense that I take my airline pilot knowledge and that's how I look at everything as how do I fly a Boeing 777 with 380 people on board and how do you inject that into a business? And if you can do that and separate it, you'll be amazingly successful. If not, you'll have a job and you'll either run it into the ground or you'll die with it.
Wow.
Man, we need to rewind to listen to that whole bit again. There's so much good
I'm getting some free coaching right now. This is amazing. I think I might start crying. I'm getting teary eyed. Like, this is speak my language. Oh, that's great.
No, that was good. And I think, so much of what you're saying too is so relevant to people right now, especially with what you experienced during 9/11. A lot of people experienced that over the last couple of years with COVID, where they had these really secure jobs and lifestyles that all of a sudden went away. And, we're kind of the victims, I guess, of that a little bit where, I got laid off from my position when COVID started and we went full-time into the real estate business. And since then, I saw that as an opportunity, and we have made, multi 7 figures in our business because of that. Yep. And, you kind of did the same thing, but you did it back when it was even more difficult than it is now, kind of like pre-internet, like in modern internet, you were doing these double closings.
Walking uphill, both ways. And, no shoes.
How did you even find properties back then too? Because that's a whole other ball game.
That was a whole other thing. Yeah. I actually, believe it or not, when I was wholesaling back then, and, obviously it's gotten more mainstream and popular, but I did a lot of expired listings. But it's all in the delivery. I've learned that, somebody will talk to that person. They'll get nowhere. I'll talk to them and I'll make, $40,000 wholesaling a property on $150,000 house.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's how you negotiate. And let me just touch a little bit when you talk about, I don't believe in the word victim. We'll just say, I think we make our own destiny. And I think people fail because they either get lazy or they get greedy. When 9/11 happened to me, and again, back when 9/11 and all this stuff, we didn't have the immediate gratification of, if I'm having a pouting day, I'll go on social media so people can pat me on the back and pour, everybody likes to catastrophize their life so that someone can go, it's okay. You know what? Maybe it's not fucking okay. Maybe you deserve to fucking fail.
Right.
I'm sorry, but the reality is not everybody is going to get a trophy. That's just life. And so when I got punched in the face in 9/11, there was no one there to be like, oh, sorry. It's like, no, you know what? You got to fucking pick yourself up and figure it out. Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is when COVID was hitting, airlines were shut down. People were getting furloughed again. Now, obviously, I'm very senior in the company that I work at, so they would basically have to go out of business, which is not impossible to happen nowadays for me to not work. And let me just say that I fly planes because I love it. Yeah. It's not because I need it. Yeah. I fly a $250 million aircraft around the world 3 times a month. Yeah. I get to go where I want to go, do what I want to do. I actually coach people all over the world. So it's kind of like a free ride to get over there to coach people. I'll be in, after we do this tonight, I head to Buenos Aires for 2 days. Wow. It's kind of a cool job.
Yeah, kind of.
But one of the things, what was interesting is I had somebody reach out to me. He's like, hey, Steve, can I interview on a podcast? He was a pilot. And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, I don't know who you are, but you were the one of the most requested people in the aviation industry about how to deal with what happens when you get furloughed with COVID. And I'm like, okay. So I jump on this podcast show and he's asking me all these questions. He's like, well, what's the difference between you today and you 20 years ago when you got furloughed from the airlines? I said, you know what it was, man? I said, it was massive action. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was not going to sit still. I took every single day. I did a lot of wrong action, but I took action. I think nowadays everyone is so afraid to look dumb and make a mistake because they think they're more important than they really are. Nobody gives a shit if you make a mistake. Nobody cares I hate to say it, but if you lost your job, nobody cares if you don't care more than anyone else. And so I'm just like, look, I didn't grow a third arm. I didn't do anything different, but I think differently. And that thinking got me to take massive action on a massive scale, put it out there, take risk, calculated risk, but I took risks, but I did not let anybody tell me, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should relax. You should take it easy. It's funny. All the people that tell me that are not where I want to be in life or financially. Right. I'm like, so you want me to be like you, a loser, and hang out and sip and drink and whatever, but that's not what I want in life. So why am I even letting you in my world to give me advice? And really, whoever asked you for advice, anyways, I'm going off tangent.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I love what you're saying, because I'm like a strong believer in like this idea of like nobody gives a shit about your problems. They don't want to hear your problems. They got their own problems, and they're not going to help you solve them. Yeah. And the people that like do what you're saying is take action are the ones that appear to have less problems, but you're still dealing with it. You're just taking action and solving shit.
Yeah, they say an overnight success is 15 years in the making. Exactly. You know, I mean, I don't think of myself as this ultra successful guy. I'm just someone who's out there, and you know, I coach a lot of people, and you know, a lot of business people and real estate people. And what's interesting is I don't hide the fact that I'm still a student myself. I think all of us, like a fish swimming, it doesn't have a destination. And I think that we learn things and we take things in, you know, as we learn them. But look, I get coached, I get mentored. I mean, I'm a big believer that as soon as you think you've made it, you're dying. You're either growing or dying. And every day you make a decision whether you're going to be better or worse. Every day I wake up, I've got a decision to make. Am I going to be better than yesterday or worse? And if you don't make a decision, you've made the decision. So I'm just a big believer that, you know what, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you guys lost your business tomorrow, which I hope you don't, nobody cares. No, you'll get a sorry, but even your success, nobody cares. Right. When I sold my business, and again, it was several $1 million, you get pats on the back, oh, congratulations, press release, all this bullshit. And I thought to myself, man, once we sell this company, we're done. Like we can coast, we can buy whatever we want, we can do whatever we want. Got all these zeros in the bank, we're good. And what I realized is Monday morning, I tell this story a lot. My wife is like, hey, you got to take the trash out. And I'm like, yeah, but we just sold the company. And she's like, so? And then all of a sudden I started looking around and I realized everybody was going on with their life. Nobody cared. And I thought I'm going to be in this like new club and this members only jacket and hanging out with Andy Frisella and all, like I'm just in this club and nobody gives a shit. Yeah. Nobody cares. And so nobody cares if you lose, but no one cares if you win either. It's the experience that you take from it. And, you know, again, I know we're talking real estate, but when it comes to real estate, it's the same thing. Nobody gives a shit how many doors you own or what you do, or, you know, whatever acronym you want to call it this day. What the biggest challenge that real estate investors have is they identify themselves with what they do. They don't understand that they are running a business. So when I talk to people, I'm like, what do you do? Like, I'm a flipper. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? That's like saying I'm a rake. Yeah. That's just a tool to get you something. Like, that's just, to me, that's stupid. It's like, no, you own a business. You're a business owner, and that business is flipping properties. Just like you could own another business of dog food. That's like saying I'm a dog food. What does that mean? So again, I think people don't understand the definitions of what they're doing. They identify. When I had my property management company, and we were, you know, at one point we were the fastest growing company in Texas, and people were like, "How are you guys doing it?" The thing is we didn't identify ourselves as property managers. We were business owners, and that business, just the product, concept, or idea that we sold was management, was peace of mind. So when people think that they're flipping, they don't get it. They're looking at the tactical thing of what they do. What is it you're trying to accomplish? Really, what you're trying to accomplish is a better life when you think about it. You're just using real estate, subchapter of real estate is flipping to get you the better life. So what do? I create a better life for myself. The business vehicle I use is real estate. The subchapter of that is flipping. But people don't look at that, because then I'll go, okay, what's the gross revenue of your company? I don't know. What are your profit margins? I don't know. What's the cycle time, the velocity? I don't know. What's your client acquisition cost? I don't know. Really, and you're a business?
Yeah.
I wouldn't fucking get in your business if you asked me to invest in it if you don't even know the basic numbers. But I'm a flipper. What does that mean? They keep saying that over like it's going to mean something at some point. So anyways, I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I will.
But I will. No, I love that.
It's so good, and it's you know, it's a interesting viewpoint, because like you said, real estate folks in particular, I feel like, are so guilty of this, and I think it's because you can make, you know, more than average money being that way, but you're going to be working like a dog, like you said. You're going to create a job, and it could go away in a heartbeat, just like everything can in real estate, because it is very punishing for people that make poor decisions. So I guess for people that are real estate investors that would fall into that category of, like, they identify as a flipper, you say, you know, they don't actually view it as a business. What do you think the difference is between those that are the flippers or those that run a real estate business? Is it purely mindset? Like, is there something structurally that they do differently? Like
well,
what's the
yes.
core?
Yes to both. It's a mindset, which is why they run it structurally differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't have the right mindset of what they're doing because they the one of the biggest challenges when people are solopreneurs and they want to do everything is it's ego and pride, right? It all starts with our beliefs of who we are. If I think I'm the smartest person in the room and quote unquote, I started the business, so I know what I'm doing. Well, there's nothing I can do to help you because you clearly just stated it's all you. And that's not what a business is. A business is a team. It's just a basketball team is a business team, right? They're all working to achieve the goal. The only thing that's a singular in life is school. Everything else is a business. And so it's ego and pride. It's me thinking when I own a business that I have to do it all. You're never as good as me. You're never as smart as me because I started the business. So when you start messing up, let me push you out of the way and show you how it's done because I started the company. So I'm going to put my cape on. I'm going to slide down the pole and I'm going to go put the fire out. But what you're doing is what essentially you are training everyone around you that, you know what? If I fuck up enough and I wait long enough, Mike's just going to come in and fix it. So I get paid either way. So I'll just drag my feet and Mike's going to go, yep, see, you need me. And what you're doing is you're self-sabotaging your own business. You're going you're basically making yourself needed. So I'll give you an example. I'm sure you guys have flown on airplanes, right? And we use an airplane as an example. You get on the airplane, you turn right. You go down, you sit in your seat, you buckle up, not a care in the world. Headphones on, you're wondering what you're going to do when you land in whatever city. Have you ever turned left?
Only when I am flying first class overseas.
Right? Yeah.
So if you keep going left, if you keep going to the pointy end, that's where we sit.
Yeah.
Think about this. You don't know me. You've never met me. You know nothing about me, but you trust me. As a matter of fact, you trust me with your life and probably your family's lives. Why do you trust me so much when you don't know me, but yet people will hire an employee, they'll interview them. They'll hire them. We'll say they train them. They probably don't. So they work for them. They know them. But as soon as they start messing up, they push them out of the way and they do all their shit. I've been a pilot for almost 30 years. I've never once had someone come to the cockpit and go like, hey, Steve, you're fucking this up today. I think I'm going to take over and I'm going to fly the plane because you're making it a little bit bumpy and I don't really feel comfortable. If you were on a plane and you saw an engine on fire on the wing, would you sit there and go, man, I wonder if that guy knows what he's doing. Maybe I should get up there and see what's happening. You're assuming, I hope this fucking guy better know what he's doing because my life's in stake. So think about that. Why are we so trusted? Think of the business model of the airline. Why are we pilots so trusted? And you've never met us, but there's an inherent trust. There's 12,000 pilots at the company I work for, right? I fly all over the world. If I get into the flight deck with someone in Tokyo, Japan, Sydney, Australia, London, England, I know exactly that guy or girl is trained to handle normals, abnormals, or emergencies. And we've never even met because the training system is so good. The business model is focused on team cohesiveness, working together as a crew, and the training. Think if you could take that and inject that in your business.
Wow.
How more successful would you be?
That's so true.
Like you can't even describe how much more successful. And that was so directly pointed at Dan and I too, everything you just said, because we're super guilty of that. Even though we have like a pretty large team, like we talked about this literally right before we hopped on this interview, we're trying to figure out how to optimize better. And Dan, you even said to me, it's like, well, I think kind of the problem is once someone starts to fuck something up, I'm really bad about this, is I will go and I will interject, right? Or I will try to like save it. And why it's that way, I don't know. It's maybe just.
Can I give you guys a little advice, a little quick coach? Real quick.
Absolutely. Yeah, teaser.
So I guess the first question is do you guys have an organization chart? That would be a no.
Let's just say no. Let's just say no.
Okay. And most companies don't, but the organization chart is like the spinal cord of your business. If you broke a bone, you would get an x-ray to see where it's broken. If your business is broken, I would need to see the organization chart to see where it's broken. Now you need to have two organization charts in your business. One is a snapshot of what you look like today. The other is a snapshot of what your business looks like with the sale date when you actually sell it, or it's a saleable asset. So my first question is, do you guys have a date that your business is finished and it's a saleable asset?
No.
Nope, definitely not.
Okay, so think about it this way. You would probably not just, if you had nothing to do today, would you just get in your car and be like, you know what? I think I'm just going to fucking head north on the freeway and just go, and don't know where I'm going. Don't know when I'm coming back. I'm just going to go. You probably wouldn't do that on a daily basis.
Yeah,
very true.
If you don't know where your business is going and you don't have an end destination to your business, aren't you just doing the same thing that you would never do in your car, but yet you're spending all of your time being busy, but you're not actually going to a destination? Mm-hmm. So your business has to have a destination, meaning a sale date. The sale date is when it's a truly sellable asset. Doesn't mean you have to sell it, but it's a truly sellable asset so that it runs without you. And it's running on systems, structures, procedures, and checklists. Okay. Mm-hmm. So first thing you have to do is you've got to figure out what is the destination this whole fucking thing's going to. What is the day, the month, and the year? And at that point, what is the revenue? What is the profit margin? What are we doing? Like, what is this? You've got to, because if you want to hire people and you say, hey, let's all get in the car, what's the first thing they're going to say?
Where are we going?
Where are we going? When are we going to get there? Yep. What does it look like? And you're like, I don't fucking know. We're just driving today. And at one point, they're going to go, these guys don't have a vision, so I'm not going to follow them. People leave a business because of lack of leadership and lack of vision. So the first thing I would say is you need an organization chart. First, you need to figure out what is the day that your business is completed. Right. And it is a saleable asset that's running without you, and it's running on systems and procedures. That's the first thing. Figure out that date, and then you reverse engineer it. We know where we're going. Now we need to know what freeways we need to take. What's the strategies to get the business there? So you can say, we want to be doing 50 million a year. We want to be there on January 1st, 2028. So you have to have a date. It's got to be a day, month, and a year. And we want to have a 35% profit margin. And we want to be spending 4 hours a week in our business. Now we know the goal. So now we know, okay, this is where we're going. Now, what is the staffing? What does the company look like when it's built out? Well, we're going to need to have all these dispo people. We're going to need this. We're going to need that. We're going to have marketing. Build it out so that you have a snapshot today, and then you have a snapshot of where it's going, right? So you got these two snapshots. You know what it's going to take. Okay, every time we hire, when we grow this many properties, we're going to need another staff member. So now what you're doing is you're growing your business proactively and not off of knee-jerk reactions like, man, we just had another complaint. We got to hire another phone person. It's like, no. Do you have a system problem or do you have a person problem? And again, this is real estate. This doesn't matter, right? So now, once you guys have this business, your organization chart needs to have 4 things in it. First thing is let's just say, well, let me back up. Every organization chart has 5 things, 5 parts of an org chart. You've got marketing, that makes the phone ring. Sales, that answers the phone. They turn them into clients, which then goes to operations, which processes the order. And they get that client to buy over and over again, which is called the repeat customer. And they create a referral program to get that happy customer to refer people to you. Every referral is equal to 5.7 people. So if you're not asking your clients or people you do business with for referrals, you're missing out on 5.7 sales down the road. Wow. So when you understand the client acquisition cost and you go, every time we get a new client, it costs us $5,000. Well, if that client gave you 5.7 people, it doesn't cost you 1,000 anymore. Now you can divide it amongst the 5.7. So you've got to know what that is. You've got to have a referral program. So you've got marketing, sales, operations. You've got accounting. They pay everybody. And the last is leadership. A business is a hierarchy, right? It's not side to side. It's top down. So the leadership's on top. Everybody down below that is across and equal marketing, sales, operations, and accounting. Okay. Now, inside of each of those boxes, you have to have 4 things. You have to have a job description. Marketing. What does this job do in marketing? Well, they're going to be taking care of making sure the phone rings. They're going to take care of the website. They're going to do this and that. Okay. Now I got a general description of what that job is. Next is roles and duties. What are they responsible for? The marketing guy, you don't go, hey, don't forget, you got to sweep today. He's going to go, that's not in my fucking job. Yeah, you got to do it. No. It's got to be labeled. What are my duties that you're responsible for SEO, pay-per-click, the website, making sure that we're going to networking events. that all has to be detailed in that. So that's job description, roles, and duties. Next are key performance indicators, KPIs. The KPIs tell you if he's doing his job. I can't just go, you know what? Dan's a dick. I don't like him. I think we should fire him. He's not even doing his job. I'm going to go, I don't care if you don't like him. What are his numbers? Well, he's hitting all his numbers. Then Dan's not going anywhere.
Right.
Or you know what? Dan's not hitting his numbers per the KPIs. Again, a lot of times we as real estate investors and all this shit, we take everything personal. It has nothing to do with your emotions or person. It's the numbers and the data. So you got to have key performance indicators. Every role should have between 3 to 5 KPIs. And the last thing is the DISC profile. That is the person or whatever personality profile you want to use. I'm familiar with DISC, but every position is associated with a certain DISC profile. So when I work with people, when I coach them, we got to start at the foundation. If you build a house that has no foundation, it's going to collapse. If your foundation is not set, like what we just did, you're not going to be able to build a sustainable business because you're not going to be able to keep people. There's going to be leaks, right? And then every business has between 8 to 11 systems in the business. Every business is about 8 to 11. Property management had about 19. So there's a lot in property management. All of those systems need to be clearly defined. Okay. What happens when the phone rings? They answer the phone. No. How many times does the phone ring? We let it ring 3 times. Okay. What is said when the phone is answered? Okay. When the phone is answered, where does it go next? Where does it go next? Where does it go next? The reason you got to be so detailed is you've got to be able to have a system that is duplicatable. We had almost 30 employees, virtual assistants in Mexico. The reason we were able to do that is we are so detailed in our systems that we could hire or fire a virtual assistant or a stateside employee because we knew it was very easy to replace them. The reason why we normally keep employees past the date is because we're afraid to get rid of them because we're like, fuck, I don't want to deal with that. Like, then I gotta talk to this new person. I got to do this. So that's normally bad leadership because we're abdicating and we're choosing not to do it. So I kind of probably went way deep than what you guys wanted. But
it's good. Super selfishly. Yeah, that's super helpful for us. I appreciate that. Yes. Anybody who's listening, if you didn't get anything out of that, A, go listen again. B, if you're like, these guys are just getting free coaching and that's messed up, fuck you.
Yeah, that's what we're getting.
This is why we have it.
Yeah. All right, that's your own show and you can have coaching.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
So no, that's amazing though. So I guess, yeah, like just, it's funny because it comes down to just the fundamentals. And
it's fundamentals.
I think that the biggest thing that stops most people is they're in like that solopreneur stage where they haven't actually made money yet, right? They don't have the ability to start bringing on staff and teams. They don't have the cash. But do you think this is something that you can still start at that phase? Or is this something where you kind of need to grind and get that nest egg sort of built? 'Cause I think that's also what causes people to get into that trap is because they were the money maker, and now trying to pass that off is where people get stuck.
Well, again, I think it goes back to ego and pride, right? It goes back to what are you building? Are you building a job or are you building a business? There's something to be said with delayed gratification of what you're trying to do. Where is it written that just because you started a business, you should be making money right away? I don't know. I've never heard that rule. So if again, why do you think you deserve to make money right away? People are like, I want to do short-term rentals and I want a 45% return. I'm like, what makes you think that, number one, is that even realistic? Right. I don't care what you want. I want to slam dunk a basketball. I don't see that happening either, but doesn't mean it. You know what I mean? So it's like, just because you want something doesn't mean it's going to happen. Right. So you've got to plan it. Nothing in business or in life happens by chance. Everything happens by design and for a reason. If you started a business and you go bankrupt, there's a reason that happened. That didn't just happen to you. It happened because of you. And so a lot of times when people are not, again, if you want to build it to last, you got to slow down to speed up. Right. And look, I built shitty businesses. I built models that didn't work, but I got back up and I learned the lesson. So you can learn it yourself, or, you talk to someone like me and you bypass 20 years of headache and frustration. But at the end of the day, I would say you've got to do it with the destination. What are you building? Are you building something that you want a job? If you do, then great. That's reactive, that's emotional, or do you want something that's sustainable, that runs proactive without you for the long haul? If you want that, that doesn't happen on commercial on the weekends in between football games. It happens because you got to, one of the biggest challenges people have is they don't work on the business. They work in the business. And what you have to do is you've got to learn that you've got to set time aside. When I coach people, if I coached you guys, I would want to see at least 4 hours a week of you guys working on the business. I don't care if it's 30 minutes a day, 4 hours on Sunday, 2 on whatever. It doesn't matter. That's when you're creating the systems, the procedures. Initially, you're wearing all hats. I get that, right? You are, because you're a one-man band. And slowly you go, okay, what do I suck at, or what's on fire? Those are the two questions you ask yourself. If you say, you know what, man, I am horrible at bookkeeping, this is not my thing, then that would probably be the first person you hire as a bookkeeper.
Right.
Like, that's what you do. If you go, I'm pretty good at marketing, I'm getting the leads, it's not dialed in, but I get it. Okay, well then leave that. Don't mess with it. If it's not broken, don't fix it just yet. Tackle the low-level, low-income tasks that you're doing. Like, I'm a big believer in virtual assistants, right? And the reason is if I told you guys for a couple $100 a week, I could free up 40 hours every week of your life.
Yep.
My question is what would you do with those 40 hours?
Wow.
Is it worth $200?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
And if you say no, then you don't value your time. The one thing we don't get back is our time. So if you can leverage it, business is all about leverage. You're leveraging people's money, people's time, people's knowledge, people's skill set. So why wouldn't you use that as the starting point? I've had a virtual assistant that's with me. You guys probably talked to her because she set this up, I believe, but she's been with me 5 years.
Wow.
She runs my calendar. She calls my doctor. She calls my yard guy when I need the yard. Like, hey, I broke a sprinkler. Can you call me? She does everything for me. So it's not just business when you need a virtual assistant. It's everything. And so it's one of those things that you got to think about it.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's a funny sort of thing with American people too. I feel like they always have, for some reason, like an aversion to having virtual assistants. So we have a lot of virtual staff. So our team, we have 12, and what do we have, Dan? I think just 2 American employees. Everyone else is overseas. Everything from like our admins who are, based out of Southeast Asia, to we have like even high school virtuals. So like our web and graphic designer is from Romania, and he lives over there. He's trained. He does very well for us. You have him on a salary, but it costs us a third of what it would have cost to have that same person on salary here, and he's significantly more responsive.
He works his ass off.
They do
it. And look, at the end of the day, I think COVID did show people that the ability to work remotely is a possibility. I don't think it's perfect, but there are positions. I mean, 60% of our company was in Mexico with virtual assistants. I mean, it works, but you have to be the right leader. If you're a bad leader, it doesn't matter if they're 2 feet from you or 2,000 miles or 20,000 miles. It doesn't matter. If you're a shitty leader, you're going to have shitty employees. Yeah. That's just how it is. If you look at bad employees, I always look at the top because the fish stinks from the head down. And I'll say, okay, well, what's their training system? What's their in-doc? What's their modules? Yeah. What systems do you have? None. And they suck?
Right.
Fucking kidding me? What gave you the right to start a business if you don't even know what you're doing? So that's just me,
totally.
But
No, I think there's a lot in there too. And like, I'm thinking in my head, as you've talked through a bunch of stuff, now we're talking about employees and staffing, and 100% you can work virtual. Mike and I built our company completely virtual. We have a lot of virtual people from around the world, but also like you said something about like, it's like a big lie that corporate America tells people. It's like, oh, this is a safe, secure job. And that's just a line of bullshit they tell you to keep you coming in every day. But then the flip side of that is also, I think a lot of people's jobs, we don't need you. When COVID hit and everybody went home and worked and they were working like 10 hours a week, it's like, hey, we could run our company a lot leaner. So it's like, as a corporate employee, like, what are you doing? This is all bullshit. And you need to like actually take a look at yourself. And as a company owner now, Mike and I, it's like we need to take a look at our company. And you're saying our org chart and seeing what we're doing to keep growing this business in the right direction. Because if some of us aren't necessary, and other companies are telling lies that your job, that you're such a great person and we need you, and you're really not, you're just kind of a piece of shit and you're just a number. Like taking a good look at your life maybe is a good way to just sum all that up and where you're at in a company stack.
Yeah, sometimes we got to do a self-check. Just because we started a business doesn't mean we're the people to take the business to the next level. You know, just because you had an idea of buying real estate doesn't mean you're the person to grow a multi-million portfolio. I mean, look, in good times, everyone's a genius, right? You talk to all these people, they're fucking experts when times are good. That's easy.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. Absolutely. That's so good. That's so true.
Yeah, that's across everything. I mean, all I'm going to say is we're all the crypto experts. They're so quiet now.
I won't get any more advertisements on social about that. Yeah, and that's why, talking before the call, like we know people, and you said it, Steve, is like it's so easy to make money when everybody else is making money. The market's good, and if you have poor systems and a shitty business model, you don't exist anymore when the market gets tough.
Yep. Exactly.
No, that's awesome. Well, so much good stuff, Steve. I really, really have enjoyed chatting with you.
This is amazing.
So as we sort of get towards the end of the show here, I'd love to hear what exactly are you working towards now? You know, you're still a pilot. You obviously sold your company to this VC firm a while back. You know, you're still investing. I know you're speaking and all those sort of things, but like, what are your goals and objectives? What is your finish line, I guess, as you
so what I do now is I mostly work with I coaching is kind of the thing. You know, I think we all go through phases in our life of what we like to do, and you know, I'm kind of at the age or whatever you want to call it of just investing passively in deals. So people like Brandon Turner and these other guys, AJ Osborne, and so I invest with a lot of these guys because they're friends of mine. I trust them, and that kind of thing. But what I've realized is that, to me, it's a matter of giving back. And so I think a lot of us, as entrepreneurs, we can be kind of selfish sometimes, meaning we learn all this education, we learn all this stuff, but we never actually share it with anybody outside of our circle. And so I think that's wrong. I think, you should be more abundant. I think we all could be. And so the way I can do it is giving back on the knowledge I have. I think I have a skill set of helping people with my experience of 20, 30 years of being an airline pilot, building a business, owning real estate, wrapping that all up. There's not many people probably like me with those variables, I'll say. So I coach people. I do very high level masterminds. I do mid-level masterminds for people. I just really create communities of getting people involved and understanding that whether you're doing real estate or you have a fencing business or roofing company, we're all the same underneath. We're, wrap ourselves in a different wrapper. That's fine. But underneath, we're all kind of the same. Yeah. And so my job is to really show people how to basically unwrap yourself to be the entrepreneur, just like the other people. So I do these high level masterminds where I bring in, Brad Lee and Iron Cowboy and other people like that to help people understand that there's different sides to being an entrepreneur, but also I show them how to build their businesses. So I show them how to break down their businesses, but more importantly, how to break themselves down, because if you want to build a $50 million company, but you're a $1 million CEO, mentally, you're never going to build the $50 million company because you're the block. You're the reason it's not going to grow. So you have to become that $50 million CEO before you've ever made it. It's kind of like, if you're going to go to sleep, you've got to lay there and act like you're asleep before you actually go to sleep.
That's so true.
You've got to imagine it, right? I mean, think about it, right? So if you want to be a successful person, you've got to imagine you're that successful person. And whenever I talk to people, they always have a reason why they're not successful or this or that. I'm like, you don't get it, man. You're missing it. So that's kind of the mistake people have.
There you go. And I guess what is your destination with all that? Like, are you trying to grow this into a large brand, or are you?
Yeah, I'm looking to grow it into a brand. I'm working with some people that are helping me brand who I am, what I do, and just see where it goes. It's kind of nice when you don't need either, when you don't need to fly and you don't need to do this, and you just kind of, like doing these kinds of things and talking with guys like you and, going to events. I go to people's offices, I coach people, I coach teams, and it's kind of fun. It's always nice when somebody wants to hear what you have to say, number one, but it's also nice when you actually see them make changes. I mean, I've got people that I coach that have gone from like barely knowing they have a business to talking about what kind of jet they're going to buy. So cool. I mean, that's kind of a cool thing, Absolutely. The only thing they did differently was think different. That's it. Yeah. And I've learned that it's all about the mindset and investing in yourself. A lot of people don't want to invest in themselves. And I've learned that if you don't invest in yourself, you'll never make money. Because if you're afraid to spend money, you'll always be afraid to make money because you have an aversion to money. People put so much power in money. It's a tool. if I said, hey, give me $1 and I'll give you back $100, no strings attached, you do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing as coaching. You give me a certain amount of money, I give you back the return. It's a no-brainer.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so we have an aversion. You add more zeros to it, it makes people nervous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a personal thing, right? And so that's the same thing with the deal, right? You guys doing a $20,000 real estate deal as opposed to a $20 million deal is just some zeros. It's the same amount of work, probably, maybe less at the 20 million mark.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the difference? It's your pucker factor to how you feel about money.
Right.
That's true.
It is true.
You're not wrong. And I've heard that from a lot of people that do bigger deals that started kind of with what we're doing. So no, that's super good stuff. All right. So we're going to dive into the end of show questions here. We have 3 questions that we ask every guest that comes on the show. So the first question, which is always the crowd favorite, is what is your craziest real estate investing story? I know you were an avid investor yourself for a while, and this can be like a good story, bad story, big win, big loss, crazy tenant. Only rule being that you can't talk about finding like a corpse or something in a rental property, because we've had a handful of those, and it's always just like
it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You said craziest?
Yeah.
All right, my craziest is let's see here. I remember when we had a bunch of properties, I got a phone call one morning from a detective, and he's like, "Do you own the property on such and such street?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Can you tell me who the tenant is?" And I told him who the tenant is, and he's asking me all these questions about the property. When's the last time you've been to the house? When's the last time you seen him? And I'm like, I never really went there. And I said, do you mind if I ask what this is about? He goes, well, when we raided the house this morning, we found a hijacked semi full of vodka.
What?
We found about $2 million in lumber supplies in the backyard. We found weapons, children, and drugs.
Wow.
So this is at about 6:30 in the morning. And I'm like, did you say when you raided my property? And he's like, yes, sir. And he goes, I'm not trying to scare you, but we could confiscate your property because it's been used for illegal activities. And I'm like,
wow.
When you say raid, like I'm going back to that word again. Like when you say raid, let's go back to that again.
Wow.
And so basically they were using it as a stash house. It was a property that I had never heard from the guy. He was an old guy, paid his rent on time. And I remember one time going to the property, and I remember driving by one day, and it was on a corner, good lookout property for stash houses, I learned. Mm-hmm. And there were bars on the windows. And I was like, that's weird. I don't remember that house having bars. Sure as shit. So that's why. Yeah. And so they were using it as a stash house. So again, I learned that you probably should have some sort of mechanism to take a look at properties. And this was probably like, I don't know, I probably hadn't seen the property in 9-10 months.
Wow.
And honestly, I had so many other shitty properties. I didn't care. I was just happy he wasn't calling.
That was the quiet one. Yeah, exactly. Holy smokes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Semi truck
that's
full
crazy.
of vodka.
Yeah.
A semi full of vodka.
Why were they smuggling the vodka? You can just go to the liquor store and buy that. Like, was it?
I have no idea. I was just like, wow. It was like so many things was wrong. So we went there, met the police there at the property. We get to the property, and the cops do their thing, and the cops leave. And then the guy comes. It was like a house in the hood, right? Guy comes walking down the street right after. And me and my business partner and our maintenance guy, we're standing there. He's like, hey, how you doing? And we're like, pretty good. How are you doing? He's like, pretty good. He's like, do you mind if I get the rest of my stuff? And we're like, whatever, get what you want. 2 minutes later, this truck pulls up with these guys. They unload, they load everything up from what was left over. He's like, sorry about the inconvenience. Take care. And I'm like, we're all standing there like, take care. Like,
that's so crazy.
And we're like, you can't make this shit up. You know?
No, you can't. No. Wow.
Yeah. That's a good one. That is indeed a crazy story.
That is unique.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you didn't get slapped with that too. You hear about stuff like that going sideways, and landlords having to get involved in legal matters. But no, that's cool. All right. Next question. So what is the number one tip you would give to an investor who is like either a new investor looking to get started or a small time investor looking to grow their business? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but
I'm excited.
Just give one tip.
I would say slow down to speed up, meaning create the end destination first. Really understand, don't buy properties to buy properties, buy it for a reason and for a goal. And so understand what you're buying based on your goals, not based on your emotions or what someone else is telling you is a good deal.
Wow. Yeah. That's great.
Perfect.
It's funny because another thing Mike and I were talking about right before this, and Mike was like, maybe we should take a step back before we go forward. It's like, there you go.
There's a lot to be said. There's a lot. Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you what, there's a lot to be said about sharpening that axe before you swing it.
Yeah. So awesome. Simple, easy. I like it. All right. Last question, Steve. Where can people find you, follow you, and reach out to you?
Yeah. Obviously all social media, Instagram. I mean, I travel all over the world. So if you want to see some cool destinations and stuff, follow me on Instagram or Facebook. It's my name, Rozenberg Steve, or Facebook, Steve Rozenberg. My website is probably the best place to see what I'm doing, what masterminds I have, what coaching programs. That's just steverozenberg.com, ROZENBERG.com. I also have a podcast, High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. I get some pretty interesting people on there, pretty cool entrepreneurs. But yeah, look, I'm out there. I get a lot of people because of my affinity and love for real estate and doing stuff with bigger pockets and all that stuff, that I get a lot of people that reach out to me. And if you reach out, I'll answer. I mean, my opinion is that if you took the time to ask me, then it's respectful to answer the person who's talking to you. And so I make sure that if you're asking me a question, I'm answering. And so
awesome.
If you reach out to me, it will be me answering you back.
That's awesome.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thanks so much, Steve, for coming on the show, man. It's been so great chatting with you and getting to meet you for this. And you've dropped, I would say, probably the most knowledgeable episode that we've had, just in terms of so many great actionable tips. So really, really appreciate you coming on. And anybody listening, absolutely reach out to Steve. If you didn't get anything from this podcast, go listen to something else, because this is about as good as it gets when it comes to, business tips. If you are serious about wanting to, do something with yourself. So if you found this helpful, go ahead and share this with anyone else you think might find this helpful. It's a great way to help grow the show. As Steve said, a referral is worth 5.7. I think you said other customers.
5.7.
I'm sure that is the same when it comes to sharing episodes with other listeners as well. So anyway, guys, go ahead and share this with anyone who find it helpful, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See you.
Thank you.